Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Saturday, November 7, 2020. For today's editorial, a most remarkable election. The U.S. presidential election has been one of the most contentious and closely run in recent memory, but there is among the enormous volume of commentary and discussion about the contest one overwhelming conclusion that is being overlooked. Under extraordinarily difficult and historically unprecedented circumstances, America has still managed to carry out a national-scale election that has delivered credible results within just a matter of days. It has been a most remarkable election and should serve as an example to us here in the Philippines, where our similar exercises on a smaller scale always seems to be fraught with insurmountable difficulties, and results for some races are still being legally contested more than 4 years after the fact. Certainly, President Donald Trump and his supporters have made bitter accusations of election fraud and have even taken legal action to try to stop vote counting or force recounts in some places, but so far, none of the claims have proven credible. And as we reported on Friday, leading members of Trump's Republican Party, among them Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, have publicly rejected the president's position and reaffirmed their support for the democratic process and a full accounting of all votes. Disappointment with the outcome is probably human nature, although many found it both odd and disturbing that Trump began to cry foul even before a final result could be guessed, let alone known for sure. Trump's theatrics, given that they do not appear to be justified at all, should not distract from the achievement the 2020 election represents. Consider the obstacles the US has had to overcome in not only carrying out the election, but in tallying nearly 150 million votes. To begin with, there is no National Organization of National Elections in the US. As a federal system, the conduct of elections is a power of the state. That means the election is conducted according to 51 different sets of rules, each of the 50 states plus the District of Columbia. The biggest unique factor in the 2020 election is that it was conducted in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and although the election campaign almost certainly contributed to it, at a time when the pandemic is at its worst in the US, which has already been hit harder by the pandemic than any other country in the world. The pandemic led to a massive number of mail-in and early votes as voters sought to avoid exposing themselves to infection. More than 100 million votes were cast in this way. This increased the complexity of the election as these ballots require additional steps to verify and count them in most states compared to in-person voting. Yet, in spite of all this, the US was able to conduct the election peacefully, except for a few very isolated minor incidents, tabulate the votes, and deliver a reliable result within about 3 days. So, how does the US do it while we struggle here, using a system that by all appearances should be more efficient than the American one? We think the reaction of the leading Republicans, firm Trump supporters all, to the president's claim of election fraud and premature declaration of victory late Tuesday night, Wednesday here in Manila, is the clue. Even though Senator McConnell, Senator Marco Rubio, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, three who spoke out publicly, all strongly support Trump and campaign for his re-election, they were unambiguous in their message that the vote must be protected, all votes counted, and the results accepted. There is, in short, a reverence for the democratic process and an active effort to preserve it that is shared by everyone in the U.S. leadership, regardless of their political persuasion or antagonism toward each other. Much can be said of the deep social divisions in America, but those statements, coming at a time when the men making them knew there was a very good chance their party and leader might not win, are an inspiring reminder of the power of a civilized ideal. Are our own leaders here as committed to democratic principles? We're not so sure. But we hope watching the events on the other side of the Pacific would inspire them. And that's the editorial for Saturday, November 7, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.